Hello, 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 and welcome to the show at Wrestling with Entertainment, bringing you the latest exclusive wiki news, previewing and reviewing the latest shows from WWE, AEW, New Japan, and everything in between. I am your host, James J., starring Kaliko Yachts, who is not here, Mitch Mayhem, who is also not here, and returning from being missing for 1 week, Scooter Dust.
Like a scrotum, here it is in a nutshell.
Now, last week you were supposedly missing. Now Kaliko and Mitch is missing. I kind of feel like you have something to do with it.
Wait, did I laugh out loud?
Yes. I literally LOL'd.
Pretend you didn't hear that.
That's a great day for wrestling.
Shut up, Mitch. I'll slap you.
Is that Mitch or Kaliko?
I don't know. I think me saying "shut up, Mitch" might give you an indication that it's Kaliko.
I thought you said shut up, bitch.
No. Well, is there a difference? Oh,
That's a porn.
Oh, my side. Ooh.
You know, every week when we record these shows, I kind of always think next week there's nothing's possibly going to happen this week that's going to be newsworthy. It's going to be a slow.
God.
It's going to be a slow news week. I don't know what we're going to talk about, and leave it to wrestling.
Yeah. You want to know how duped I felt by this week that I actually decided, spur of the moment, to get on the air to do a live impromptu remix because I bought into the hype. Or actually, no, technically, no. I bought into the ridiculousness that the WWE was peddling on Monday night. Because I thought it, once again, was going to be something so bad, it would be hilarious.
Well, it wasn't going to be the first thing on our news chart, but since you brought it up, Shane McMahon returned this Monday with a new segment of Raw called Raw Underground.
Hey, rule number one.
You
don't talk about Raw Underground.
Scooter, talk about Raw Underground.
Well, it's run by a guy named Tyler Durden. No, what in the... Okay, now I'm convinced Vince is stuck in some sort of like perennial time loop.
You're
in fact,
convinced?
I am now convinced that Vince McMahon is Dr. Sam Beckett from Quantum Leap. But he keeps going to the same damn time periods over and over. That's why we keep seeing repeats of the same shit. Like, okay, Raw Underground, oh boy, a Fight Club, Brawl for All 2020, Bruce Pritchard is probably creaming his pants. But, like, seriously, like, when all it really was, it was just a way to debut Baba Tunde, who's now going by Sabacato, Kato, Kabasato, Kabawawa, Bumbawawa, I don't know.
You know, it's pretty bad when you don't know the proper pronunciation.
It's like Sabacato or something. Like, it's like, just call him Baba Tunde. That was an awesome name.
I mean, it's a lot easier to say too.
But then you have like the actor Obababatende, and then I guess people get confused. But I don't know. But and then the whole idea of anybody can walk in at any time, and somehow and then Dolph Ziggler was just like working out his frustrations,
Right.
and uh, it's just uh, I just don't know. It wasn't hilariously bad. It was just bad.
Yeah. Pretty much. You know,
And yeah,
it's kind of funny that they're running an underground fight club, maybe drug ring, prostitution ring, at the performance center, but
like
no,
I thought when I saw Zelina Vega, I'm like, oh god, Shane bought Lucha Underground, didn't he? And I'm thinking Dario Cueto must be rolling over in his grave, despite
you know,
being a fictional character.
this had to have been a spur of the moment decision. I didn't know
Well,
Shane McMahon was going to be on the show until that afternoon. I got an email.
yeah,
Um,
he was announced that day the that morning for Raw, and like and they just bring him on, and they make it seem like this Raw Underground thing has been happening while Raw has been going on, and oh, they're gonna be on at 10 o'clock as if maybe this is gonna be our third hour of Raw. No, it's just a segment because they just happen to have like an extra ring set up without any ropes.
well, first hearing about Raw Underground, it kind of brought me back to like the Raw is War second hour of Raw. Back in like '98, I think '99. Well,
You know, well,
that well, the second hour was going to be more edgier, more crosswords because it was on at a later date, a later hour. And do you see them possibly doing that in the third hour as we go along, as we work out the kinks? Or do you think it's just going to be more of what we saw on Monday?
I don't think Raw Underground is gonna go anywhere except flat on its ass. It's like they, you know, you probably shouldn't do something like that on a night where you're promising that some huge mysterious faction is going to show up and potentially change the landscape of the show.
Before we
Now,
get into that new faction, uh, wrapping up the Raw Underground, I think the most over thing of Raw Underground is those Raw dancing girls, right?
yes, the tasteful strippers.
Yeah,
The 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 least scantily clad strippers I've ever seen. They may as well have been Amish.
hey, they were more over than the guys in the ring. I, I think my tweet about them was my highest viewed tweet to date.
Um, I and it seemed like Shane just kind of like didn't really like have any interest. This was like almost like the ultimate act of the trust fund baby. I'm a rich guy. I'm a rich guy from New England, so I'm gonna make you. I'm gonna pay you, and you're gonna fight like Mandingo warriors.
If this was actually a Shane McMahon idea, I could see why he's giving the company to Stephanie.
No, this had Bruce Pritchard written all over it.
You think Bruce Pritchard? I think Vince McMahon.
Bruce wanted the Brawl for All back in some way, shape, or form.
I don't. I don't think so. He hated Brawl for All. A lot of people did.
He wanted the legitimacy of, and like in a, that, and to be quite honest, the closed confines of the Performance Center in the way the world is today, it kind of makes the optimal location. Now, does that mean it should happen? No, absolutely not.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
but God, it's like okay. I think I have a better analogy. It's like Shane broke into some other person's house, had a party, and then left the last people there to take the fall. Based on
Interesting analogy.
what he did at the end of the night. Just like, oh, you guys can show up anytime. Here's the mic. I'm out of here.
Yeah, it seemed like Shane McMahon had no value in this segment, honestly. In the whole show, I was waiting for him to maybe actually explain what Raw Underground was or why they were doing it, and he just acted like a glorified referee the whole night. It's a little disappointing. Something else that's very disappointing was the debut of a new group on Raw. It's called Retribution, and they drew
A Molotov cocktail.
yeah at stage equipment.
Generator.
Yeah,
and
that was their big debut.
right now, all we know is that it's 4 guys and a woman.
Right.
Because you could definitely hear a female or a very high pitched male. I'm not sure.
No, you could tell that one of them was a woman.
I mean, like, and what I had to wonder about those power outages. They did have the hurricane going through, or at least the remnants of the hurricane. But when Kevin Owens made that remark to the Iconics, that seemed like to be a little bit too perfectly improvised.
Right.
It just.
I mean, it seems like Kevin Owens doesn't really stick to the script. He does a lot of off the cuff stuff.
I mean, that's quite honestly, that's a good thing.
It makes him more interesting than what's on the shows.
And I mean, there were some good parts to to Raw. I mean, Samoa Joe finally remembering what it's like to be a badass.
Right.
Instead of a guy, in a suit. I gotta say though, Tom Phillips looks like he suffered shell shock.
Yeah, the WWE commentators booth has been suffering for maybe the last 5 years now.
And people were wondering, oh, who's gonna be Seth's new voice? I'm like, yes, finally the return of Gil Madden. No.
Gil Madden's not with WWE anymore, if I'm not mistaken.
Don't kill the dream, James.
For a second, I thought he was that.
Yeah, I thought Dio was the guy that jumped in during Raw Underground.
Right. Yeah.
The dreadlocks. I really thought that too.
I thought so too. Same here. I thought for sure that was Dio Man. But,
I, yeah.
going back to Retribution, when we first got our first glimpse of them, I swear to God, I thought they were the ninjas.
Yep, I thought they were cute as hell as ninjas.
Yeah, clearly, there's a lot of kinks that need to be worked out going forward with Raw and Raw Underground. Um, you know what?
Uh,
Yeah,
it's a little bit of a personal stake in Raw because for the past 2 weeks, and I don't know how I missed it, but the man responsible for training me now has a running storyline on Monday Night Raw.
I'm going to take a collective guess and say that's the guy that got beat up by Nia Jax.
Pat Buck.
Any
One of the
relation to the
hard,
Young Bucks?
no, but Pat Buck was a buck before being a buck was cool.
Well, there you go.
In fact, he was so cool he was a $1.50.
Couldn't get to that
But
$2.
he, you know, first of all, Pat Buck was furloughed. In fact, he was one of the first people to be furloughed. So, surprised to see him get unfurloughed, and him of all people, because, and I said this on Twitter, God bless Pat Buck, because Pat Buck, the guy doesn't exude charisma on the surface. I'm sorry, he doesn't. I'm gonna be honest there. But the guy loves this business so damn much. And he has dedicated most of his career to passing on that love of the craft. And there's not a lot of people that there's not a lot of pro wrestlers that really can, let's just say most wrestlers who don't succeed that end up in a management role end up resenting the fact that they never had a successful run in the WWE or even anywhere, at this point. And yeah, and for those of you who don't know really who Pat Buck is, Pat Buck, when Cody Rhodes was going on his 10 opponent tour, the 10 people he wanted to wrestle one last time before AEW began, Pat Buck was at the top of that list. And Pat Buck, after all he's gone through, he's seen very few peaks in his career, but he's seen a lot of valleys. And the fact that the WWE saw enough in him to bring him back in and actually finally put him on TV in much less in a potentially attention grabbing storyline, an intergender storyline. It's there, Pat Buck is one of the hardest working men in this show business that you will not read about on any of the dirt sheets. And so much respect for Pat Buck. You know, huge part of my in-ring career, however short that was. And, you know, back in 2019 when I worked the WrestlePro vs. Impact Battle of Brooklyn show, Pat and I got back, we talked, we reminisced, and whatnot. And Oh man, it's just I'm just yeah. This
It's
this is
pretty bittersweet.
but Pat deserves the success he's having.
It'll be interesting how they continue this storyline with him and Nia Jax, and maybe it'll get him into maybe a higher profile storyline
Oh
as we go.
Pat's not gonna have a Pat's not gonna become a in ring talent.
But he
Consistent
could
in
work
ring.
as like a Pat Patterson or Gerald Briscoe, like in a stooge role.
Yeah, Pat's not so much a stooge. I could see Pat being a you know and when Ole Anderson after Ole Anderson retired type of thing, or Dusty Rhodes,
Hmm.
uh, even. But the logical ending for this Pat Buck Nia Jax storyline, you come on, you know where it's heading, James. You know, and don't tell me you don't, because you know it's gonna end with a wedding.
A wedding? A wedding between Pat Buck and Nia Jax?
They are gonna they'll end up getting in a fight, and all of a sudden they'll realize they're so attracted to each
Oh
other
my
that
god.
we'll have a no contest by
Oh my
makeout
god.
session.
This isn't Cheers. This is pro wrestling, damn it.
Really? You're expecting more than a soap opera.
You're right. um, I think we covered the high points of Raw this week.